Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Verge Podcast. As always, the goal of this show is to keep you from the brink of ignorance and on the verge of intelligence when it comes to the politics that affects us all in America today. The big news across the headlines last week or so have been school shootings, particularly the one in Florida where 17 people are reported to have lost their lives. Ever since, liberals have been on the attack, saying we need gun control, we need the AR-15 banned, we need this, we need that. But what do we really need? You know, every time there's a big shooting attack like this school shooting or perhaps the Las Vegas incident, liberals are always quick to blame an inanimate object. They're always quick to blame the NRA. Oh, if the NRA wasn't funneling money to all these politicians, we would have gun control by now. Here's the thing. We do not blame inanimate objects for the woes that are caused in society today. We don't say, well, that Ford Taurus flat out drove right over that pedestrian. We don't say that Chevy Silverado was weaving in and out of the road and hit another car, killing them. No, we blame the drunk driver. We blame the person that was texting behind the wheel. We blame the person that committed the act. But behind every individual that commits an offense that causes harm to other people, there are root causes. And root causes for this particular situation involving the school shootings is about our culture. Our culture has been bred by design to desensitize human life. We have allowed our culture to come to the point where human life is viewed as a joke, is viewed as a commodity that is disposable. We do not view human life as precious anymore. We do not view human life as a gift. We call it a choice. Our society today glorifies violence, bloodshed, rape, murder. We glorify it on our TV screens. We glorify it in our movie theaters. We glorify it in our video games, in our music. Every form of media glorifies gore, violence, bloodshed, murder, rape. It's all glorified. And make no mistake, the media outlets love the ratings that they get after a tragic incident like this occurs. They absolutely love it. So they keep that going by feeding you disinformation. They do so because you've got to keep tuning in to find out more. And they just say, oh, well, we made a mistake when they purposely lie to you. They think, oh, all I've got to do is go on and say, I'm sorry, we were wrong. And all of a sudden it's supposed to be all A-OK. Our society has been treating young people that are not quote-unquote normal by pumping them full of psychotropic medications. Oh, your child's sad? Here's some medication. Oh, your child's too hyper? Here, have some medication. And then we have the issue of where areas with high arrest rates for young people are being given incentives to lower that arrest rate. So guess what? That arrest rate goes down. And in this case, the Broward County Sheriff's Office had over 30 negative interactions with Nicholas Cruz. But yet, because they failed to ever prosecute him with a crime serious enough to cause him to not be allowed to pass a background check for that AR-15, they failed to stop him. In more ways than one, but I'll get to that in a minute. Then we have people going to the FBI. You know, after 9/11, the FBI was big on this. Oh, if you see something, say something. Well, guess what? Multiple people saw or heard bad intentions from Nicholas Cruz and reported it to the FBI. They did not investigate. They dropped the ball. The day of the shooting, it is now being reported that no less than 4 armed law enforcement from the Broward County Sheriff's Office failed to go inside that school during the shooting and stop Nicholas Cruz. They failed to even engage Nicholas Cruz. They stood outside while 17 people lost their lives and numerous others injured. Unarmed school personnel and teenagers bravely put their bodies on the line in attempts to save their peers, while armed and supposedly trained Broward County Sheriff's officers stood outside and waited. Now, knowing that the FBI dropped the ball, and knowing that the Broward County Sheriff's officers cowardly failed in their duty to act to stop the shooter, exactly how is it the NRA's fault? How is it the NRA's fault that Broward County Sheriff's Office failed in their more than 30 interactions to do anything to stop this individual from being able to legally obtain a weapon? How is it the NRA's fault that the FBI failed to follow up in their tips that were given to them? How is it the NRA's fault that the Broward County Sheriff's officers stood outside and did not engage the shooter? It doesn't make any sense how you can blame the NRA. And all these companies that are coming out in the last 48 hours and saying we are disassociating ourselves from the NRA and no longer offering discounts to its members. They're doing so because social media, by its default foundations, are liberally based. They believe that the majority of people feel that that's a good idea. Because social media like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they censor conservatives. So the conservative thought isn't as pronounced as it is in reality. So these companies, while they are free to disassociate themselves from the NRA, we are just as free to boycott these companies. Save some money this spring and summer. Do not spend your money with these companies that are disassociating themselves from the NRA. Don't do it. Don't spend your money there. Because if you do, you will only be aiding in their disillusion that they are somehow doing the right thing by associating themselves with people that want your kids to go to school unprotected and refuse to address the root causes, which is our culture, which is our disrespect for God and disrespect for human life and human decency. We must take a stand. We cannot back down. We have to even get on to President Trump, who has said that we should increase the age of being able to buy an AR-15 to 21 years old. So let me get this straight, Mr. President. We can take an 18-year-old fresh out of high school and put him or her in the military and have them use real weapons of war that are much more powerful than an AR-15. But then when they return to civilian life as a 19 or 20-year-old, they would be prohibited from getting one. It makes zero sense. And then he wants to ban the bump stocks. What good is that going to do? People can just use 3D printers to make those. It is 2018. It is time to stop pretending that the government can effectively ban things. What has the government banned so far that has actually stayed banned and non-existent in this country? Name one. You know, it's ridiculous that we even have to have this conversation about guns not being the problem. Okay? Guns have always had one purpose, and that is to cause bodily harm. Whether it's to vermin, to game, or to another person. Whether it's done in cold blood or in self-defense. That has never changed. But what has changed is us. Our society. Our culture. We've changed. And it's not a change for the better. We can change back. But that's if we want to. That's if we choose to. That's if we really want to address the root causes of these school shootings. Until then, it is talk is cheap. Because talk ain't going to stop a bullet fired at you. Talk isn't going to protect your kid at school. They say 18% of bullets fired from trained professionals like law enforcement actually hit the target. I'd rather take 18% over 0%, which is the percent of bullets not fired from an unarmed person. Until the next time, The Verge Podcast, signing off.